Alright guys, here is a question. At this point we have to find the value of x. So in this equation, what is the value of x? Well, let's look at it. It will be nice if we approach it like this. If we add 8 root x to both sides. So if we add 8 root x to this side, it will just cancel out and we'll be left with 15, positive 15. So this will be equal to, adding into the right hand side, we have 8 root x. Now we need to get rid of this square root. So the only thing we can do is to take the square of both sides, because if you square this, then you just get x. The square root will go away. So we have to square both sides. That simply means we square x plus 15. We also square 8 root x. So if we square the left hand side, we have x squared plus 30x plus 30x plus 225, and this will be equal to, if we square 8 we get 64, and if we square root x rather, we just get x. So at this point we can subtract 64x from both sides. So if we subtract 64x from both sides, we will get x squared. We will get x squared minus 34x, because 30x minus 64 will be 34x. Now 30x minus 64x will be 34x. So we still have our 225 there, plus 225. So this will just give us 0, because we already subtracted 64x from both sides. So we have a quadratic equation, and that is what we have to solve. So let's write it again. We have x squared minus 34x plus 225, and this is equal to 0. So if you don't know how to solve this, you can check some of my previous videos. They will be solving this, but for more understanding, I've done some videos on how to solve quadratic equation using the factorization method by completing the square and using the quadratic formula. So whichever one you prefer. But at this point, I think we can factorize. Here is our product, because our product is 225 multiplied by the coefficient of x, which is 1. So it's still 225. And our sum is negative 34. So whatever value it is that we will multiply, that will give us our product, this, and that we will add, that will give us our sum, is what we are looking for. So let us think about it. If we take negative 25 and negative 9, So negative 25 minus 9, that gives negative 34. And negative 25 multiplied by negative 9 gives positive 225. So that is what we are looking for. Then we have x minus 25 and x minus 9. I will say this is equal to 0. So this is telling us that our x can either be equal to 25 or our x can be equal to 9. So these two values will be true if we put them in this equation. Now let me explain this. Before, what we have on the left hand side, all this must be equal to 0. That is the meaning of this equality sign. So before we can have the product of this what am I doing? Okay, so before we can have the product of this and this to be equal to 0, then that's telling us that one of them, at least one of them, must be equal to 0. So we can now say it is either this is equal to 0 or this is equal to 0. And we know that if for this to be equal to 0, that is x minus 25 to be equal to 0, then our x must be 25, because put it 25 here, we will just get 0. I don't know what problem am I having these days. Put it 25 there, we just get 0. And on the other hand, okay, put it 25 there, we get 0. And on the other hand, if we put 9 here, we get 0. So our x is either equal to 25 or equal to 9, and that is what we are looking for. Thank you.